So this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online. So that.
I wonder why this Karen thinks that Big Balls is an unfortunate name. Yeah, why we're gonna get tone police by some fucking Karen? Get out of here.
That would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now
Yes.
working at Musk's behest.
That's right.
Inside Doge. And we looked into his background.
And this is an official CNN broadcast. Wired, Doge teen, aka Big Balls Online, has access to government systems. He's in. What I find to be so funny about this is that basically every person in the federal government, if you work for the federal government, you have access to systems and classified and private information of citizens. Like, you go through a whole process of this. They act like this is some kind of a big fucking secret or like some kind of crazy thing. Everybody has this. Even I had this.
And so we found, several notable things, Aaron, one of which is that this individual has founded multiple companies, including one with another unfortunate name, Tesla.sexy LLC.
Why is that unfortunate? What's unfortunate about that? I think that's funny. We have these tone policing middle-aged Karens that are sitting around trying to fucking tone police everybody's jokes. This isn't unfortunate, it's fucking funny.
Which he established in 2021. He would have been around 16 years old. Now, this LLC controls dozens of web domains.
So, Kara, you hear this, and you have known...
Great. So now we have 3 Karens. So this is the Council of Karens to complain about Big Balls is now a government expert. Great. Just what we need. Sounds like a smart kid. Yeah, I totally support him. I don't know what he said, but I support him. Do you stand with Big Balls? I do. I stand with Big Balls. Absolutely.
Elon Musk for years. So now you look at these young men who are now in data and in the private information about maybe hundreds of...
And you know what's really funny is that all the memes about how 4chan is auditing the government, it turns out that pretty much all of them are true. Because I heard that Big Balls also made a bunch of racist posts too.
Millions of American citizens as young as 19, the Big Balls here that Katie's talking about. Most of them are in their early 20s. There's an exception I'm going to get to in a minute. I'm curious though, Kara, how well does even Musk know these young men, do you think?
I have no idea. I think there is no vetting whatsoever, as you can see, that's taken place. It took Katie and the really great team. Wired has done an astonishing job here. I could make a joke that's probably why he was hired for all this ridiculous nonsense and other nefarious things. But, there's an expression in technology that's not it's a feature, not a bug.
That's true.
So this is a 19-year-old...
That's exactly it. Uh-oh. This is going to be fucking funny. Oh, God, this is going to be good. Are you guys ready? Oh, shit. You might not be happy about it, but Big Balls is what peak performance looks like. Well, here's the funny thing about it. So basically what happened is that this guy, and I can go back and I'll watch the video in a minute, but so this guy ends up no one elected Big Balls. Personally, I voted for Big Balls. And so Elon Musk did a poll on Twitter about should he bring Big Balls back to Doge or not. 78% of people want Big Balls back. And even the best part about this is even JD Vance. I'll show you. Here's my view. I obviously disagree with some of his posts, but I don't think some stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. We shouldn't reward journalists who try to destroy people ever. So I say bring him back. Now, if he's a bad dude or a member of or a terrible member of the team, fire him for that. Yeah. So Big Balls is making a comeback in a big way. And then that's why they asked Trump. And so Trump was like, yeah, I'll just go with whatever JD goes with. That's fine. Actually huge? Yes. All right, here we go. Let's watch it.
Donald Trump's shock and awe strategy, which is starting to feel a lot like more shock and a little less awe. He's been making a blizzard of moves in these first 18 days of his second administration, meant to inspire fear and outrage, creating problems and then pretending to solve them so that he can look like a savior, keeping his promises to his base. And while it's all really bad and destructive, I think it's important to sort out the actual fires from the smoke and mirrors, because let's face it, we can't react to everything effectively all at the same time. But that's what autocrats and coup leaders want, right? While we're running from fire to fire, Trump and Elon's little Doge gang are dismantling our federal government from within.
That's what people voted for. Yeah, that's not a bug, that's a feature. Yeah, just like what they said before. Yeah, that was the goal. What do you think they voted for? That's the entire plan. And she's calling it a coup? Yeah, a coup is when you lose an election. Yeah, it's when you it's basically a coup is when the people that you don't like get more votes than you do. It's pretty bad.
So just for a moment, let's just take a step back and look at what he's been saying versus what he's been doing. Trump announced 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada, which sent the markets into a tizzy.
Yep.
All for him to pull a reverse at the last minute, claiming he got major concessions, when in reality, Mexico and Canada basically reiterated the same border security measures they had already agreed to under Joe Biden.
Good.
Trump backed down and got nothing.
Well, he did it for 30 days, but yes.
Administration is also blitzing the airwaves and social media with terrifying pictures of what they claim is the largest deportation operation in American history.
Terrifying. I think that's not... I mean, I don't know, like, because if I look at the pictures, I think there's a lot of people that they're really happy about that. Yeah, good. Yeah, exactly. Like, what is this? The poor criminals, I feel safer. Yes, exactly. You're also white? Well, I mean, of course, right? I mean, because we all know that all brown people are illegal immigrants, right? Man, great thinking, man.
But as Politico reports, the number of daily ICE arrests trumpeted each day on X Twitter are still about where they were at times under President Barack Obama. Many of those...
That's a fair criticism. Yep. You got to get those numbers up. That's true.
Detained have no violent criminal history. And the White House said Wednesday that more than 400 migrants have been released for lack of detention capacity, among other reasons. So catch and release, yeah?
Yeah.
Ugly, expensive, and yes, performative arrests that absolutely make communities feel
Politico defunded,
terrified, but for almost no new result. Then there's the executive order banning transgender athletes from competing in women's sports. Transgender people make up less than 1% of our population, and there are fewer than 10 collegiate athletes who identify as transgender in the whole country. That was not me stuttering.
I think these numbers are really illuminating on this topic because I just think there's such a clear trend among the American public. So transgender female athletes in women's sports, only 18% of the country says that they should be, in fact, allowed to participate in women's sports. Compare this to the opposition. I mean, my goodness gracious, 79%. You rarely get 79% of the country to agree on anything, but they do, in fact, agree on the idea of opposing transgender female athletes in women's sports. But it's not just the here and now, Laura. It's not just the here and now. What we're actually seeing is a trend on this particular issue, and it's going in the direction of opposition. So take a look here. Okay, transgendered female athletes.
So just want to put that into perspective. Just so we understand that this is what's being defended here.
Said 10.
Yeah.
The federal government bullying 10 Americans is bizarre and cruel. But
so their argument is that we should wait until it becomes more of a problem down the road? Well, this is the way that I think a lot of people view like the transgender athlete thing. They view it the same way that they view something like flat Earth, where like if somebody believes that the Earth is flat, I will assume that everything else they think is probably also retarded, and their decision-making capabilities are compromised, let's say. They're compromised. So if somebody believes in this and they think that it's okay, it's not necessarily the thing itself. It's that the belief in it is a mining canary for a logical level of inconsistency that's unprecedented. That's the difference.
As I explained yesterday, the federal government does not mandate who can play in school sports. If local school boards decide to mimic that ugly EO, it is awful, yes, but local voters will be able to hold them accountable. As for America taking over Gaza to turn it into the Riviera of the Middle East, the administration has already walked that one back, especially his shambolic talk about sending in U.S. troops.
Sure.
He posted on his social media today that no troops will be needed since Israel will just hand over Gaza to the U.S. once the war is
convenient.
over. Okay, so Israel will somehow physically expel 2 million Palestinians, which, by the way, is definitional ethnic cleansing, and then hand over Gaza to us to colonize with no military protection. Yeah, that should go over great. Speaking of countries that Trump is threatening to go to war with, after the State Department claimed that U.S. government vessels can now transit the Panama Canal for free, which would save the government millions of dollars a year. The president of Panama came out and said, nope, no, you can't.
What did he say? Let me read it again. Panama's leader rejects State Department claim of a deal of U.S. warship to traverse Panama Canal for free. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see about that.
This morning, Trump called for CBS to lose its FCC license and for its news show 60 Minutes to be immediately
fucking based. If you want to be a news station, then you have to act like a news station. See, a lot of news stations have like other external privileges that extend beyond just like the free speech of a citizen. So if you want those privileges come with accountability and responsibility. So if you're not exercising that responsibility or that accountability, then maybe you shouldn't have the privileges either.
Terminated after the network caved and released the full unedited interview with former Vice President Kamala Harris from October, which shows, surprise, surprise, nothing abnormal.
Nothing abnormal from that interview. Well, I don't know about that. It sure seems like that's not what people thought. I haven't seen it myself yet, but it seems like that's not the consensus online. And also, if it didn't show anything, then why didn't they show it the first time? Wouldn't it have been better? Like if the entire interview, if it was a 1 hour interview with the president, the vice president, like, I mean, logically, that's what I would assume, right? I mean, you would want to make it the biggest bit of content possible. And so if you're cutting this much stuff out of it, why is that?
This is the part where I tell you that CBS as a network does not have an FCC license. Local stations do. So why all of the smoke? Forgetting what they've said.
Here we go. This is the big balls situation. Here we go.
We know that what the Trump-Musk gang have actually done is that Elon's Doge gang have gained access to files at the Treasury Department, the Office of Personnel Management, Small Business Administration, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the Department of Education, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and Veterans Affairs.
That's right.
They've requested access to the Department of Labor, which houses confidential information, including for whistleblowers, economic data, and other personal information.
Yes.
But after a group of unions sued, they've been blocked by a judge.
I think the roaches are just upset that they're going to get uncovered. That's what I think it is. I think the federal government is run by retards, and they're terrified of people who aren't retards finding out about it. They're scared of the audit. That's what I think is going on. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, I think this USAID thing, I don't even know if it's the tip of the iceberg. It's like a little rock next to the iceberg. Nobody cares about that. Wait till they get to the military. Then you're going to be looking like, like people are saying, oh, it's only $76,000. I think when they audit the military, you're probably going to see levels of corruption that have 2 more zeros behind them for every single line item. That's what I think is going to happen. And yeah, I bet they're really afraid. And they should be.
Till tomorrow. Now, naturally, this has triggered panic.
They won't do that? The guy, one of the guys today already committed to doing it. He already said he's going to do it. Look.
That includes a Pentagon audit, which, to the Marines out there, y'all got to figure it out. And we appreciate that. Lean and mean. We are going to focus heavily to ensure that, at a bare minimum, by the end of 4 years, the Pentagon passes a clean audit.
Yep, there you go. Elon Musk just tweeted, big balls is for... let me finish the video, at least.
The federal workforce and across the country because unvetted and unqualified Musk sycophants are rummaging through highly sensitive data.
Unvetted and unqualified. I do not agree with this appeal to authority that these people have. I think that after watching how... Like, I worked at the federal government, and there's a lot of people there that were retarded. And my dad also worked at the federal government, and in his department, there were also people who were retarded or didn't do their job very well. Then you look at the way that they handled COVID. Sure seems like a lot of these experts and people don't really know what they're talking about. So, and also, that's another good point. If vetting is so important with this, why is it not important with letting people into the country illegally? That's a very, very good point.
Treasury Secretary and multimillionaire Scott Bessent dismissed all of this as nothing but squawking.
When you hear this squawking, then some status quo interest is not happy.
Yes.
What I will tell you that at the Treasury, our payment system is not being touched in terms of payments being stopped. That is happening upstream at the department level.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Musk has claimed the exact opposite on X Twitter when he said his team was canceling payments to Lutheran organizations. And Wired reports that
Yeah, that's good, right? I mean, isn't that a good thing? Like, a Lutheran faith use of religion as money laundering? Yeah, I don't want to have the government giving money to churches. How is this even a what? What? Well, we're supposed to be mad about this? This is good.
Canceling payments to Lutheran organizations. And Wired reports that a 25-year-old engineer, Marco Ellis...
Security vetting is completely different to migration vetting. How could you even compare the two? No, it's not. They just go through a system and they see, are you associated with any terrorist groups? And if the answer is no, then they're going to give you security. Like, a lot of these people, and I think that this is a very big, like, kind of tearing down of the veil, is that a lot of these people kind of hide behind a lot of pomp and circumstance and procedures and bureaucracy. But when you take all of that away, it's just a bunch of retards that are trying to protect each other because nobody knows how to do their job right. That's what I think's happening. And I think it's happened in so many cases. Like, how is it, like, look at Twitter. Twitter's another great example. You hire 80, you fire 80% of people and the website still works? How does that happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happens. It's because 80% of the people were fucking retarded. That's it. And people are waking up to this, and they're seeing that, yes, there are billions of dollars being wasted on bullshit. Not true. There are more layers for getting clearance in months of time. Oh, I'm sure that there are for higher levels of clearance, definitely. But if you're a federal worker, you have to go through baseline clearance for dealing with any type of federal information. Like, for example, when you're in the building, you're not supposed to take pictures while you're in the buildings. Like, I don't know what their rules are now. This was a long time ago. You couldn't wear a hood. Like, you couldn't wear a hat either because then they couldn't see where you were looking at. Yeah, this is basic standard stuff.
Was among the DOJ staffers given access to the code at the Treasury Department that controls Social Security payments, tax returns, and more. According to Wired, those privileges could give someone the power to log into servers through secure shell access, navigate the entire file system, change user permissions, and delete or modify critical files.
It's really I don't know why you would say that, because Trump said yesterday that they can't do that. Like, he literally said they can't do that. So, like, read only means that you can't change the files. Maybe she doesn't know what that means. There's a good chance that's probably what it is.
Early this morning, that federal judge got the Treasury Department to limit Doge's access to your sensitive data to just 2 Doge people who supposedly would have only read-only access. According to the language agreed to by the 2 sides, one of the 2 is Musk ally Tom Krause, the chief executive officer at Cloud Software Group. The other is Marco Ellis. Treasury Department officials were asked by the judge if those Musk allies had distributed the fiscal data to anybody else. And they said, as far as we are aware, no, they have not, outside the Treasury Department. As far as we are aware? Well, that's not.
Well, yeah, how could they know something that they don't know? As far as we're aware, yes, obviously. So then the answer is no. It's Yes, it's conspiracy time, guys. Person has no fucking idea how software works and should stop talking about it. There's literally 100 layers of redundancy, even at a private company. You think Treasury data isn't protected? I think that it's like, these are the people that, like, whenever they watch a movie and it's like a hacker, it's like a guy that's wearing like a ski mask and he's like typing on like a laptop and like the screen is like black with green letters. You know, like, that's basically, like, this is their understanding of, like, using databases or using systems like this. Yeah, all right, I'm in the mainframe. Let's go.
Not exactly comforting.
Let me just download all the money.
But wait, there's more. The Wall Street Journal is reporting tonight that Marco Ellis has resigned from his position at Doge because the Journal found that he had links to deleted ex-Twitter media accounts where he attacked the notion of Indian nationals in the tech world and declared that he was racist before it was cool.
So the Doge staffer, the guy who had access, said that he was racist before it was cool. Okay.
LS did not respond to the Journal's request for comment.
I bet he didn't. What a good decision.
Joining me now is MSNBC political analyst.
This is, by the way, what I think a lot more of these people need to do. Especially with like these media organizations that are, in my opinion, totally biased, is that you just don't interface with them. Don't talk to them. Don't deal with them. If they're just spreading lies and making up bullshit, like, then what are you doing?
And former Congressman David Jolly.
They're biased,
and Judd Legum, author of Popular Information. Judd, I want to start with you because this sort of, to our knowledge, these young Doge kids have not shared anything. That doesn't make me feel good about what's been going on at Treasury. What does your reporting say about what they've actually done with their access to those files while we've been out here chasing all of the rabbits that Donald Trump has been emptying into the garden?
Well, I think, unfortunately, we don't know a lot about what has been done, because I know through some of the reporting I've been doing at the Office of Personnel Management, which keeps all the files for all millions of federal workers, employment files, job applications, social security numbers, et cetera, you know, they've been given administrative access to these files. At the same time, the career staff have been locked out of these databases.
Thank God. Thank God. We have somebody here, and this is the... I can't believe people are supporting literal Nazis. How is it biased? He was a literal Nazi. It's not a lie. What the fuck? Man, you need to take your meds. You've got to take your meds, man. Like, this is bad. Yeah, just stop.
So you have both really expansive access on the one hand, but then the folks that might be able to say and tell what is going on are not able to do so. And so there's all sorts of speculation, but I think we've already seen the Doge group start to use this data, and I'm sure we'll continue to use this data for a lot of different purposes, including the decimation of the federal workforce. You know, first we have...
That's the goal. That's what people voted for. They explicitly, like, Elon Musk was sitting there campaigning with Trump. Trump was saying, we're going to do this. It's like they're saying it as if it's a bad thing. This is what, yes, obviously.
This supposedly voluntary resignation, but I think after that, there's at least indications that it may be used to implement reductions in force.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, and this is the problem, David, is that, you know, I liken it to throwing a smoke bomb in the lobby of the bank, and then everyone's running from the smoke while the robbers are in the vault cleaning out the bank, right? Cleaning out the cash. The data is so valuable, right? The data on, imagine that having the data of 320 million Americans, and your primary business is AI. That data is extremely valuable and will give you a
So
tremendous...
the implication is that the data is going to be taken from these people that work at Doge and then distributed anonymously, privately, to fund AI research. I mean, I think that's a pretty big stretch.
A competitive advantage unlike anything else, even if they're not doing something even crazier, like, you know, making hit lists, or making, not hit lists, I should say.
Making hit lists. Man.
Lists of people that they want to get rid of in the federal government based on some ideological or ethnic or some other factor. All those sorts of listings could also be...
So they're also going to fire people for being a different race. Okay. It's a bit of an accusation, I would say. It's quite an accusation.
Workers and make their lives miserable. But just the idea that people are just accessing it all. I want to give you another one of the people that Wired, in their great reporting, has had at least some access to our data inside Treasury. It's a guy named Evan Korstein. He's 19 years old. He's a high school graduate. He works at Doge. He has access to U.S. government systems. His professional and online history call into question whether he would even pass a background check, typically required to obtain security clearances. Security experts tell Wired he runs something called Tesla.sexy, which operates a Russian website.
Yeah, see, these guys, nobody think, like, this is a Karen problem. This is a Karen concern. They think this is funny. No, like, obviously they're trying to pretend like they give a shit about this. Nobody gives a shit about this except Karens.
He worked at a startup that hired convicted hackers. Someone using his Telegram handle solicited a cyber attack. And on his LinkedIn, and I apologize to the Saints out there, and we know a lot of the Saints listen to the show, he called himself Big, B-A-L-L-S. I won't say the...
This is so embarrassing, bro. Like, oh my God.
Words, I won't be vulgar. That's what he calls himself. So Big, B-A-L-L-S, has all of our Social Security data, and maybe downloaded it, maybe didn't share it, maybe did. Your thoughts?
That's a lot of accusations.
Joy, I think it's pretty clear that the U.S. government has been raided by the world's richest man under the permission of a billionaire felon president who thinks that governing is a reality show. And that creates a constitutional crisis. And I think there are so many fires to put out. You're exactly right in discussing this, that sometimes you have to choose which one is the real kind of existential question. And so it is not necessarily, though.
So that's not true. The reason why they're reporting on this is because the guy's name is Big Balls and it's funny. They're not reporting on any sort of national security stuff. They're not focusing on that. They're focusing on Doge and Big Balls because that's what gets people to watch the news, because it's funny. So let's not go and turn this into like some kind of, oh, well, they're making, this is some kind of fucking, you know, like, I'm trying to think of a good way to say it. Like, it's like some noble effort. No, they're doing the exact same thing. That's why every single one has it in the title.
The attack on USAID or the attack on the Civil Service Corps, those are very important and worth fighting for. But I think the fundamental issue here is the lawlessness of Donald Trump and Elon Musk and their Doges, and whether or not there was a security breach. We know there were violations of law. There were violations of the Impoundment Act, violation of civil service protections, violation of the Constitution. It is the question of lawlessness that is creating the constitutional crisis, not necessarily the policy behind it. The policy has to be fought as well. But part of the existential question, the constitutional crisis, is because of Donald Trump and Elon Musk, but it also is equally because of the collapse of the Republican Congress. If Democrats controlled
it's because they won the vote. It's because people don't have any trust in the processes of the government. And this is what I think a lot of these people don't understand, is that I think that the average person, and I think this is true around the world, and I think you're seeing revolutions like this happen. Like, I think that you saw it with, like, Argentina, and I think that you also saw it with El Salvador. And I think you'll continue to see it in more places, like Poland and, like, a lesser extent, is that people are losing trust in this, like, appeal to authority that the government has. And they don't trust anything about it. They don't trust the way that it's run. They don't trust the people running it. They don't trust the processes. They don't trust what's considered to be the authority. And they want to burn the whole thing down. That's what I think people voted for. People voted to burn it down. Now, you might not like that vote. You might think that's a bad decision. But I think that's exactly what people fucking voted for. Is this propaganda? I don't think it is. I mean, am I crazy? Like, I think this is... Is that what people believe? Like, for those of you guys that voted for Trump, is this what you voted for? That's a lot of yeses. Argentinian here, you're 100% right. Yeah.
Congress right now, Elon Musk would be at a congressional hearing tomorrow. The Doges would be sitting at hearing tables. Everyone would be getting a fair hearing about what the hell is going on right now in the government. But we see the malfeasance by Trump and Musk, but it's kind of a passive malfeasance by the Congress that has to be recognized. The Republican Congress has collapsed. It has collapsed. It no longer honors its constitutional responsibility. And in that vacuum...
He's right about that, by the way. I think that they have, because they don't represent the average person again. Or anymore. And I don't think that they represent, like, contemporary conservative values at all. And so, or Republican values. So I think that's the reason why. No, they never did. Well, they especially don't now.
We get the violations of law and Constitution that we're seeing.
Yep, there you go. Well, somebody else said that apparently the guy is back. Wait. Oh my God. I cannot overstate how much I loathe this emotional blackmail pretending to be concern. My kids, God willing, will be risk takers. They won't think constantly about whether a flippant comment or a wrong viewpoint will follow them around for the rest of their lives. They will tell stupid jokes. They will develop views that they later think are wrong or even gross. I made mistakes as a kid, and thank God I grew up in a culture that encouraged me to grow and learn, rather than and feel remorse when I screwed up and offer grace when others did. I don't worry about my kids making mistakes or developing views they later regret. I don't worry too much about trolls on the internet. You know what I do worry about? That they'll grow up to be a U.S. congressman who engages in emotional blackmail over a kid's social media posts. You disgust me. Oh my fucking God. Oh, man. I was so wrong. I thought this guy was just a weird couch fucker. And I have never been happier to be wrong in my entire life. This is amazing, man. Yeah, it's cathartic, isn't it? Yes, especially the fact that he said the emotional blackmail thing. I feel so fucking validated right now. It's insane. Man, This is crazy.